Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista, and today I wanted to share with you guys how I make my potting soil, my seed starting soil. Unfortunately, in my area, I have not been able to find a good source for soil. So I've kind of resorted to making my own, and I have been doing it for the last 3 years. So last week I got some of my seeds started, so I had to make some soil. So I thought I would turn the camera on and show you guys how I make my soil. Now, I just want a preference, and I do say it quite a bit in the video. I am not a gardening expert. I've been using this seed mix for about 3 years, and it has produced the most amazing plants for me. I don't really have any problems with them wilting and dying and losing nutrients. This has been a really good seed starting mix for me, and my seeds come up really well, and then when I up pot, they just do really well. So in this video, I am pretty much primarily making a mix to start seeds in. When I'm going to get to the point of up potting all of the stuff that I've seed started, I actually modify it a little bit by adding extra worm castings. I add some plant food to it, and I add a little bit more compost because I want to have nutrients to feed that plant. Whereas the seed starting, I don't need as many nutrients because we're just trying to get that plant germinated and started. Again, I was really hesitant to post this video because I know that there's going to be quite a bit of critics saying, well, you shouldn't do that. I'm going to share with you all how I make my seed starting mix, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. We are going to get some potting mix started. This is what I start my seeds in, and I grow them in these until I put them in the ground. So one of the things I start with is this peat moss. It is organic. And I put everything in this storage tote, and I put about, I would say, half of this storage tote I am gonna fill with this peat moss. And this is just what it looks like. It's just like a dry peat moss. We're gonna fill this storage tote halfway full with it. One of these bags costs me about $24 with taxes, and this particular bag will probably make me 3 of these totes full of my seed starting and potting soil. So it is definitely more budget friendly for me to make my own. Now, there are bigger chunks like this in here, and what I do is I just take those out because I am starting seeds with this. That will hinder my seeds from growing because a seed is super tiny, especially the ones I'm starting today, can't compete with this in the way. So you've got to take these bigger things out of the mix when you are using this mix for seed starting. So I have this about this full. And what I do now, because I kind of build it in layers, it makes it easier to stir in this huge thing. I am going to use some of this stuff in it now. This is a garden lime. And I'm gonna use a couple scoops of this. The reason I am using this is because peat moss is a very acidic product. And when you're growing things that don't like high acidity, for example, this peat moss is fine with tomatoes because tomatoes like a more acidic soil, so it will grow fine with this. But certain things don't like such an acidic soil, so you have to balance it out. So I add a little bit of this garden lime to my soil mix just to help balance the acidity levels out so that the seeds and plants have optimal soil to grow in that they like. Next up, we are going to add some of this Pure Light. This helps with the moisture. When starting seeds, they like to have a high moisture in it, so I just add some of this and it helps. I am doing this in my greenhouse, but I am outside. There's some ventilation in here. Because what I'm doing today is I'm starting seeds with this soil mix, I'm not going to probably fill this whole thing full because I don't need that much soil. And I'm also probably going to add more of this than I typically would if, let's say, I was up potting stuff, because I really want my seeds to have good soil. And guys, I'm not a garden expert. This is just what has been working for me the past 3 years. This is just what I've found works for me. I'm sure there's lots of other methods out there that you can use. I know instead of peat moss, you can use a coconut, I forget what it's called. It is more sustainable than peat moss. Peat moss is not necessarily the best product to use because it is not 100% sustainable, but it is what I have available in my area that is within my budget. So I'm just working with what I have available to me in my budget. Okay. And then next up, we are going to add just a little bit of these. This is good nutrients for the soil. And plus, like when I'm up potting, this is really, really good for giving those plants the nutrients. Now, I'm not gonna add too much. This stuff is pretty expensive. This is a little tiny bag. Like, I think this is only 4 pounds, and I think this cost me $7. So it is pretty expensive to use, so I don't use very much. And again, because I am seed starting, I really technically don't need this, because this is just going to be soil that's going to germinate my seeds. And then once they get big enough, I'm gonna be up potting them. But we'll just put a little bit in. Another product that you can use in this is this. This also helps with the soil. I might actually add a little bit of this. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of this stuff because it is really good for starting seeds also. So I have a kind of a mix of stuff in here. This stuff just looks like this. Okay, and then there is one last thing that we are going to add to this, and this is just plain compost. So this is the compost that we're using. I think this was $3 for this bag, and it's just a compost manure mixture. I've used this for years and years, and it works really good on my garden. Again, this isn't necessary for seed starting because you're not necessarily feeding the plant. You just really want the seed to germinate. The mix I make is really just an all-purpose mix. So it serves its purpose for a couple of things. I don't like having just a dedicated seed starting mix because then it kind of forces me to have to transplant really quickly, and sometimes I just don't have time. So I want to have a soil that isn't going to be nutrient deficient when my seedlings need it. So this is just kind of how I do it. Guys, I really want to stress, I am not a gardening expert. So as you can see, this soil, hopefully you can see, this soil is very, very, very dry. The peat moss is extremely dry. It is not wet. So what I do is I add water to this, and it helps when planting. I don't want to use a dry soil. Like you see, it doesn't hold together. I don't want to use that when starting seeds because it has no moisture in it, and seeds like the moisture to germinate. So I need to get a little bit of water added to this. So I have a bucket of water, and I'm just going to pour it and stir it until I get a nice moist soil that will actually hold together. Because if I put this in, the water is just going to go straight through it, and it will not hold water when I'm wanting it to hold water for my seeds. So we'll add a little bit more water to this. maybe like a gallon, maybe 2 gallons of water to this huge tote. And so now the soil, you can see it is holding together a lot better. It's not like mud, it's not gonna like stick together, but it's holding together, and there is some moisture now into this soil. So I'm feeling comfortable with this particular mix. I'm just kind of going through it, and again taking these little pieces, and I will dig them out as I put them into my seed starting trays, but yeah, I'm just taking those pieces out. But I'm happy with this mix. I did actually add some more of that Pure Light in here, just so that it really could help with absorbing the moisture. And you don't see a lot of it in here because it's already really sucked up this water I put in here. So we're gonna get these into our seed starting trays. So I am just using some Bootstrap Farmer seed starting trays, and then I have these bottom trays, so I just plop them in here like that. So I am just going to get these pretty full. I'm not going to fill them all the way to the brim because we will be putting soil on top of some of them, but I am going to get them pretty full, and then we will get the seeds put in them. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to come, once I get it pretty full, I like to come and take one of these trays and just push down a bit. And then that shows me where I need to put soil. That one's good. Do one more press. Again, I don't want to fill them too full. Now we'll get them in here. I love these trays because I can water them, and then the water stays in here and it doesn't make a huge mess. Ready to go to put some seeds in. The other thing I actually want to add is this stuff right here. I don't know if you can see it, the sun's kind of at a bad angle, but this plant food, this like this. I put this stuff in if I am up potting, and I do not put a lot of it in. I just put a little bit, and it's good just to give the plants a little extra food to get them good and started. So I'll put this, a little bit of this in my actual soil mix and just turn it in to the soil. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little clip on how I make my soil, and give it a try. And if you have it available to use the coconut, please do so. If it is within your budget, then please use it because it is definitely better for the environment. But again, I'm just coming from a place where I have such a tight budget, and I just really want to be able to grow food, and I want to be able to have fresh organic stuff. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great day or a night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys. Oh, and happy seed starting.